Hi, everybody, and welcome back to this week's interview with the Landscapers Grow Together video series. I'm here today with Craig Nestor from Habitat Landscapes, and we're going to be talking together about attracting high quality customers, time management, and some other useful things that you guys will enjoy, I hope. So, hi, Craig, thanks for being with us and welcome. Yeah, give me a little intro as to yourself and what you do.
Okay, so I'm Craig, as you said. I am part owner of Habitat Landscapes Limited. My business owner joined us probably about 5 years ago, and together we run the landscaping business. I do more the admin side, and he does more the site management side. We have just agreed on some new staff, which takes us to 14 members. We work solely in domestic installs, so private domestic, fairly large gardens, and that's our area. So that's what we're doing at the minute.
Amazing. And you took on the co-owner, so your partners in the business. Has that been a good decision for you? Because I know different people will want to set things up differently. Some people like to be partners or not. How has that worked out for you?
It's actually worked out really well. I couldn't see it working any better than it did. I was really struggling at the time. The business had grown quite quickly, and we had loads and loads of requests for work. And the only way that I could see that we could sort of meet demand, if you like, and increase the size of the business was to split my workload. And I'd already worked with my now business partner Lee for a few years. Everything was running really great. We both felt we were in a position, and Lee came in and bought part of the business. And what it did for me was it took all the pressure off me, and it kind of gave me someone to bounce my ideas across to. If I have any issues, it was another level head to kind of calm down and talk about them properly and decide what we were going to do. And also in terms of sort of just day-to-day stuff, so management of the guys, pricing up project, everything got halved. So for me personally, and for Habitat, it was a really good move. We did have some advice from some people saying, well, what are you doing? But yeah, for us, we thought it through. I think we played it the right way, and it's been really beneficial. So yeah, good move.
Awesome. Yeah, I often wish I had someone to bounce ideas off. I do have a mentor or a coach, but it's not quite the same perhaps as being there every day. So I think that's awesome. And you're obviously doing great as a company. I can see you've got a design behind you on the wall, and you're doing these big high-end projects for people. Can you tell me a little about how you managed to, I guess, get to the stage where you're delivering these high-end projects and attracting these quality customers? How did you, I guess, make the leap and manage to convey your value and filter out the sort of time wasters and only get those really high-end projects?
Yeah, so it was a bit of a slow process. We did it over a few years. Some of it came naturally. So as the business grew and our reputation grew, we slowly had inquiries from people that were looking for bigger builds and knew that we could deal with them. So yeah, part of it was a natural growth. The other part, I mean, we did a little bit of marketing and changed the way that we were viewed by our clients to try and encourage the clients we wanted. I guess we did it. We changed the way that people inquired as well. So we started doing things like putting a minimum sort of spend or a minimum budget on our projects on the inquiry form on our website. So we kind of cut out some lower end inquiries, which saved us massive admin time. So yeah, we did a few little hacks within our marketing. Initially, when we first started, we used online resources to find us some work, if you like, when we didn't have such a reputation. But with that online resource, a few hacks on the website, tweaking how we were viewed by the general public, and then over a couple of years building up a reputation. I think all them things combined kind of got us to the position we're in now. And then once you're in that kind of network of people that are looking at, much bigger gardens, their friends come over, they're very affluent people, and they have their friends that have a similar kind of lifestyle. They see the gardens and they talk, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So once you're there, it's kind of quite easy. so yeah, a few tweaks really, and it worked really well for us.
So did you find that you were spending a lot of your time, almost wasted time, in kind of dealing with inquiries that maybe weren't serious, didn't have the budget, didn't know what it was going to cost? Were you did you find you were bogged down by that quite a lot?
Yeah, to start with, yeah, and I think everybody in the industry gets the same kind of thing. Tire kickers is another way that people in the industry can determine.
Yes.
People who don't really understand how much it costs to do a professional installation, and they just, you know, go out the garden at the weekend and go, oh, I'd like to get a quote on this, and you get the inquiry, and deep down you know that it's probably a waste of time, but you kind of feel obliged to do it. So what we actually did, we did struggle with that, and what we did was, rather than just keep saying to them ones that we had a bad feeling about, rather than saying to them, no, sorry, we're fully booked, or no, sorry, we can't get to it at the moment, we just cut them out right at the start. So again, on our inquiry form, we put that minimum spend. That was a really good one for us. And then obviously people that went on to the inquiry form, you know, would look at it and go, £10,000, I haven't got that kind of money, and then they just wouldn't inquire. And you know, in the summer and spring, when you're receiving kind of, I don't know, 5 to 10 inquiries a week, if you can cut out them time wasters, you save huge amounts of ad time. And for some people who work during the week on site and then they do their pricing at the weekends, I was in that position once, and it's really depressing if you get 4 projects booked in on a Saturday and you spend your whole Saturday going to look at them, and one after the other is just waste of time, waste of time, waste of time. So we cut that bit out. It's taken a lot of stress off of me in the office doing that, and it's freed up loads of time where I can focus on what we would say are good potential clients.
And I think that's a really important shift, but I think it's also quite scary for a lot of people. So I just wanted to kind of highlight this, that you know, sometimes you're going to have to risk saying no and risk kind of losing someone that could be a potential customer, in order to pursue that longer term goal of getting these higher end projects. So you're going to be potentially serving fewer people but higher value, and if that's what you want for your business, then yeah, I guess you just have to kind of get over that slight fear that people have, which I know that I've had as well in different contexts. So just wanted to kind of highlight that one. I think that's a really useful point. So yeah, getting in those quality inquiries is one thing. And then obviously delivering the work is another thing. And I hear from a lot of people in the space that staffing and retaining good staff, finding skilled workers, is a really big issue that they have. Do you have any advice for how to deal with this?
Yeah, I think 2 things that pop to mind. Yeah, you're right. It is a big issue, especially in landscaping industry. There's not many colleges around the country that are training landscapers, and to be honest, the ones that aren't doing it the way that you would want them to. So the guys that are available aren't that trained, and you have to train them yourself anyway. So we've got 2 approaches to it, and one is similar kind of approach to what we do with our website. So rather than just putting an advert out there for a member of staff that's very generic and just skilled contractor required, we kind of build our advert, if we were going to put one out, more sort of tailored to the exact person we want. So we'll go into a lot of details. So when you get all these applications come through, again, a lot of tire kickers, everyone thinks they can lay a paving slab, and it's a completely different scenario when you get on site and see the work that we're doing. So we were kind of like really going in depth about what we want, and then when them tire kickers, if you like, are looking at that advert, they'll look at all that detail and go, oh Christ, all this sounds a bit heavy for me, and they won't inquire. So you actually reduce the amount of inquiries you get for new staff. But again, the pool that you do get are people that hopefully have read your descriptions and then feel that they meet that criteria. So it was less people inquiring, less people to interview, less people to return to, and so that sped it up for me. So that was one good way that we found to kind of tunnel our advertising, if you like, to the contractors that we wanted. And the second big thing, which I really believe is the way forward, is I think you've got to stop looking for that perfect person, because then perfect people are already running their own businesses or doing their own thing, and they're probably successful at doing it. You hear it all the time in the industry and I do from different people running businesses, I just can't find that person that I want. And if you can't find them, just stop looking. You use what you've got. So we do a lot of upskilling. This year we've got a certain budget allocated within our yearly spends, and it's purely for training for our guys. And we've got 3 guys going away on a week training course up north to a training academy that's opening. It's a really exciting prospect. So I'm actually going up there next Friday for a day visit to Chester to take a little look around and look at the prospectus. And they've actually custom built a training package around what we want. So we're investing a lot of money in a few of our staff. We train them up with their first aid courses. We do a bit of on-site training, but everybody knows that if you're on site and you have to build a garden, you've got a schedule to work to, and it's really hard to take them apprentices and the labourers and actually give them enough time on site to learn the skills that they need and to keep your build going on budget, on schedule. So yeah, upskilling staff and spend a bit of money training staff instead of spending so much trying to look for staff. It's the same kind of concept. Don't move, improve. And it's the same thing for me. I think that's really important. So.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I guess some people might say to that, well, if I train my staff, they'll just leave me and go work for someone else. So what do you do on the retention side to kind of keep people with you?
Sure. I mean, I guess that depends on the way that the separate businesses are going to employ their guys. So if guys are self-employed, then it becomes a little bit more difficult because they are free to find wherever they want. If you've got guys down on PAYE, and we would do a training package for a guy, and we'd say, okay, look, we're going to upskill you. We're going to spend a couple of grand this year in training courses to help you out. So after that training course is complete and you've got that certificate and you're trained in first aid, we're going to say that you have to stay with us for a 12-month period after that, and we'll put that into a contract. I think there's some standard contracts that work a little bit like that. So hopefully within that time we can recoup the money that we've spent on them in their productivity on site after training. So we're trying to work it that way. I think most people would look at that and go, okay, you know what, that's pretty fair to do that. So I think in that situation, if you guys are PAYE or girls, you can sort of put a clause in a contract with them. If you guys are self-employed, it is a bit more difficult. But if your top guys are self-employed and they're the ones that you want to train up a little bit, then I guess you have to work on your contractor services with that subcontractor and put something into that. Yeah, that's my thoughts on it. So
yeah, and I guess making sure that people are compensated appropriately is another part of that.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I mean, once the guys are upskilled, you got to pay them more. So if they're more productive on site and they're earning you more money, yeah, you're right. A great way to retain people is obviously to pay them what they're worth. And we have that outlook with our guys. Everybody's paid fairly and they're paid on their skill set. So we'll hold sort of quarterly appraisals with people, and we'll go over how their performance has been over the last sort of 4 months, 3 months. And we'll go over that with them, look at how they've progressed, and then we'll give them some things that we think they can work on, and then appraisers say, you know what, you actually ticked all the boxes from the last one, so we're going to give you a little pay rise. And it puts a system in place within the business, and everybody within the business knows that that's coming up, and then the back of the mind they'll be like, okay, look, if I do really well until the next appraisal, and I'm going to get a pay rise. So it kind of focuses people on it, maybe keeps people with you. But yeah, definitely you've got to pay people what they're worth. Nobody wants too much, but being fair with people I think is important.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a win-win, they're delivering for the business as well. So I don't think that's something to be afraid of. I mean, one thing, I know you've got the business partner, so you obviously kind of split your tasks, but I guess, how do you manage your time as a business owner? I think this is something that people often struggle with. you know, perhaps they're overwhelmed with smaller tasks and they kind of don't know what to prioritize. Do you have any tips for how you go about doing that?
Yeah, so I mean, setting aside the things that we've already cut out. So for us, we've cut out a lot of the sort of time wasters and so on. So that's one important thing. Some other things that I do. So basic setup in Habitat is my business partner will run things on site. So we'll have 3 or 4 teams of installers building gardens, and Lee will go where he's needed within them teams and ensure everything's running and so on. My part in the business is the admin part, the boring part, if you like. But it suits my lifestyle at the moment. I have a young family and a very, very busy family life. So actually time management for me is really important. And what I do to try and maximize the time that I have within the office is I kind of allocate blocks of time to certain tasks, and I'm quite strict about how I do that. So say for example, next week I have 3 site visits. I'll book them in whenever I can. They normally get booked in about a month in advance, so I have a month to plan around them site visits. I tend to not do more than sort of 3 a week if I can, and then I'll build some office hours for pricing projects around them meetings, and I'll build in an email hour, and I'll kind of build my day in blocks like that. And I'm really strict about how I do it, and I stick to my plan. It sounds a little bit anal and it sounds a bit, you know, OCD, but it actually works really well to maximize the time I have. And I think it stops me. Before, when I didn't do that so much, I really struggled. I'd kind of like be starting a quote and then an email would ping up, and I'd come off the quote and look at the email, and then I'd flick onto Facebook because I had something come up. So I just cut all that out, and I just really strictly say, this is my email time, this is my pricing time, this is the time I'll see clients. And it has worked really well. I've noticed it in the office. I've noticed a big difference since I've started doing that. I'm a fan of systems and writing stuff down, and yeah, just being as scheduled and as organized as you can. And yeah, it works really well. So
yeah, that sounds really effective. I think the email distraction is a big thing, and the social media distraction, especially. I mean, you might legitimately be using social media for business, right? But the notifications and the pings on the phone, I think that what you said is super helpful. Is just not allowing yourself to be distracted when your time is for something else. So in the 8 years since you started, were there any kind of real pivotal moments, times when you made a big shift in how you approached things? And what were those things, and what advice would you give to other people who are starting out?
sure. So yeah, there's probably 2 or 3 big shifts from our perspective in how things changed. We kind of touched on one, which was when Lee became business partner. So that was one shift, but I won't talk too much about that again. It did split into that system where I was more in the office and Lee was more on site. Obviously, everything started to run a lot smoother. I got my weekends back and my evenings, which was great. So that was one big shift, and that was really productivity increased, and just my social life got a bit better, which was great. So that was one. Before that, the first sort of big shift for us was moving from using online platforms to find our work. So when in the first kind of year, 18 months, we used a website called mybuilder.com. There's a few different ones out there. We found in the first year that was really, really good for us. We didn't really have much of a reputation, and we wanted to get our name out. So we kind of made a profile on there, uploaded our projects, customers left us reviews. We shared that, you know, on other social media, and it was a good way to build up a good name. So when we moved out of that, we kind of got to a stage where we were getting enough inquiries, and there were a higher value of inquiries. So we kind of moved away from that, and that change was a kind of big movement for me. Little bit scary to take away that kind of lifeline that was almost sort of feeding me inquiries. At that point, we considered a little bit more marketing. We did a bit more on social media. We advertised locally in a few magazines. So if someone's at that stage and they're thinking, do you know what, I don't need this anymore, I want to do it, you know, just off my own inquiries, a couple of things to think about there is just brand awareness. So just keep pushing your brand out to the public so that they keep seeing you on, keep active on your social media, upload videos, pictures of your work, and yeah, just keep pushing that out there so you get more and more followers, and as a result, hopefully more and more inquiries. So the final big shift, I guess, to date was so a couple of years ago I did a business development course, which I highly recommend to anyone. If you've got time to do one, get on and do one. It's mind-blowing. It completely changed the way that I looked at my whole business. I was a contractor. I laid paving, I built decks, ponds, everything like that, and I wasn't really savvy with running the business and looking at the figures and stuff. So I took this course. I did it with the APL, which is a really good course. They do a couple a year. So I took that course, and it really kind of changed my perspective, and made me look at all the numbers in a different kind of way. It helped me understand my figures. It helped me understand what my accountant was telling me every year. So I think, you know, once we've taken that business course, I took that business course, I kind of came back to my office. I was kind of refreshed, and you know, I was really enthusiastic, and I put together a really good business plan, which was a good bit of structure. So if you're at that stage where you're thinking, what do I do next? 100%, maybe take a business course, but 100% write a business plan. It can be something really simple, just on a piece of paper, just where you want to go in the next couple of years, how you're going to get there, and what funds you have to get you there. And if you've got them three things put together, I think you've got kind of a solid plan at that point. It helps you focus on what you want to achieve. And if you work hard enough at it, and you've got a sort of clear goal in mind and a way of getting there, and a little bit of money to help you, then you're fairly likely to succeed in that. So business plan is a really key thing. And it changed the whole way that I looked at our business. So
I think I speak to people who often are in the same place that you were. You know, you thought of yourself as, you know, I lay paving, I do decking, whatever, and perhaps not so much as a business owner. But I think that's, again, is always an important shift for someone who really wants to grow their business and wants to scale and have like a bigger operation than just themselves. So yeah, just wanted to highlight that as well. I think that's really useful advice. You mentioned so social media and putting videos out there, and I love videos like this interview, for example. I think it's super useful for basically any business. And I know that you're working on a bit of a larger video project right now. Sure. Would you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Yeah, cool. So how long you got? So I'll keep it brief, but in a nutshell, I'm making a series of videos on a project that we're looking at the moment. It starts in about 3 weeks' time. So what I've done is I made a series of videos from the first time I looked at the plan, how we priced the plan, what research we did into the materials. There was a repricing one and how we went back to the customer and you know, validated charging a bit of money to reprice the project. I go through how many hours have been spent on the project. And then moving forward, then the next series of videos will be a bit boring. After showing how I've priced it and so on, I'll go through our contracts, and then I'll go through what we put together for the site foreman, the safety packs, the CDMs, everything like that. So boring bit. And then we'll do a couple at the end showing the actual build of the job. So the idea behind the videos is I want to edit them all together into one video that we can put on our website. It will be aimed at the end user, so our clients. It will go on our inquiry form page, and it will go just above everything. So when our customers go on an inquiry form, the video will be there. They'll click play, and it will play them maybe a 20-30 minute video if they make it to the end. And the idea behind it is to try and show a customer how much work goes into it. So, you know, they don't see any of that background work. Nobody really understands it. And the end users watching these TV garden shows where 3 or 4 people come into a garden and suddenly magically build this garden in 2 days. It's amazing. So they just think that that's what happens. You know, they don't understand the work behind it. So it's to try and show our clients that this is why we're charging this much money, because this is the effort that goes into it. So yeah, I'm fairly excited about it. I'm hoping By the end of July, when the build's finished, I'll then have all my videos that I'll edit together, maybe put it on YouTube, definitely put it on our website. It will go on our Facebook page, and see what it does. So yeah,
that sounds awesome. I think it's another great way to help justify, you know, the quality and the pricing, the higher pricing that you guys might want to work with, and then also give an inside look, you know, under the hood of how you do things in your business, which I think is awesome. So anyone watching, I think you should go check it out as well when you once it's released. I think this is a good time to wrap up. So thank you so much, Craig, for joining us and giving all of your wisdom. Much appreciated. And we'll drop the link to your website below so that everyone can go and check you out. And yeah, thank you so much again. And join us for another episode soon.